Yeah, g'day YouTubers. Tinker O'Toole again here with another video. Today we're going to talk about two types of axes and a maul. So you've got your regular type axe, which is this one here made by Cyclone. It's about 60 years old, this axe, been in my family for quite a long time, passed down to my father, from my grandfather to my father and then on to me. So way over 60 years old, very old Cyclone axe. I just hung it this year because the old handle wasn't very good, and reprofiled it. Now this is your typical axe, and it roughly weighs a fraction over 2 kg, which is about 4.5 pounds. Has a total weight with a handle of about 2.9 kilograms. So, question is, and the length of the handle is 32 inches, 800 mil in length. Same as this handle here. Exactly the same. Axe handle length. Can you split timber with an axe? Yeah, of course you can. They've been doing it for hundreds of years, not a problem. So, why get a splitting axe? This is the Stihl splitting axe. It is the AX28CS made by Oxenkoff. It's got a head weight of 2.5 kilograms. It has an overstrike protector on it, which is fantastic. Fairly wide handle. It goes in here. And it's made out of hickory. And the total weight of this has gone up to 3.9 kilos. So it's much, much heavier than an axe. It has a much broader angle than an axe. So this is a little bit wider than an axe, and it tapers out a lot wider than a normal axe. So it's a lot heavier and it's a lot different. And also, if we look at the blade, it's skinnier by a little bit there. Not a huge amount. But if we typically look at the axe, this axe here is in inches. This is a 5-inch axe. This is a 4.5-inch splitting axe. And this is 2 3/4 inch splitting maul. So a splitting axe is much heavier. It's got the same, generally got the same length of handle, 800 mil, 32 inches. Much heavier and a little bit shorter across the blade. Then we jump into a splitting maul. So this is another one from Stihl. And it's got the overstrike protector made by Oxenkoff in Germany. It's a 3 kilo head, so another half a kilo heavier, and it's a sledgehammer type head. So yeah, you've gone from 2 kilos, 2.5 to 3 kilos, with a total weight of this one pushing almost 4.6 kilograms in weight, and a significantly reduced blade here. Typically, this blade here would be 2 3/4, and I think it works out roughly about 68 millimeters or so, almost 70 millimeters. And it's interesting when you look at one of these in the hands of a good operator, is that this one has a lot more weight into it. So when you swing this, it strikes at a much harder force than the splitting axe or the axe. And because of the blade is reduced, you've got more force per inch or millimeter, if you will. Depends whether you talk metric or imperial. So the wider this is, yes, it's going to put a longer dent in the timber, but it won't go as deep. So having the extra weight helps. The extra weight can tire you out. That's the other thing. Just because you've got something heavier doesn't mean it's ideal, especially if you've got to work with it for 3 or 4 hours. But you can put your logs into different categories. Like an example, I roughly worked out roughly 1 kilogram of weight for every 4 inches of timber. So based on that, a 2 kilogram splitting axe will do up to 8-inch log. A 3 kilogram, which is, we've got in excess, we've got 3.9 kilos total weight. We've only got 2.5 kg head weight there, plus the weight of the protector. So you're almost looking at about 3 kilos in that region there, and a little bit extra for the handle down there. So you're talking about splitting the log up to about 1 foot. In this one here, you've got about 3.5 kilos in this area. So you're talking about a log up to a maximum of about 18 inches. If you're going to split anything bigger than that, you're going to have to do a lot of... You're much better off using a maul than a splitting axe because of the extra weight and the smaller area across the blade. And as I said, the longer the blade gets, the more energy required to sink it into the timber. So I can't recommend this over this or that over that. It's horses for courses. Now, the other thing that is extremely important here is softwood versus hardwood. Hardwood has small fibres, roughly not much longer than about 0.6 of a mil. And softwood has fibres up to about 3.5 millimetres in length. Your typical softwood is pine, birch, maples, and your hardwood here in Australia is a eucalyptus. Now, what's extremely important is that the edge that you've got on your axe or your splitting maul is sharp and it's got the right angle. Typically, straight out of the box, if you will, or out of the packet, Fiscus have the right angle for softwood and hardwood, especially hardwood. They've got a 30-degree bevel on theirs, on their splitting, on the X25. This has got a 90-degree bevel on it, totally unsuitable for hardwood. I'm going to have to reprofile that. This had over an 80-degree bevel on it. I had to reprofile that and bring it back to 45. So, having large beveled edges works okay on pine and softwood, but it certainly doesn't work good on hardwood. What it tends to do on hardwood is put more dints in it than splitting. So an example would be, let's just say that you had a log that was about 1 foot in diameter, and you've got a large beveled edge on here of near almost 90 degrees. You're going to find out that you're going to have to swing that about 7 or 8 times before it even makes a split. After you reprofile this and put a 45-degree edge on it and make it sharp, you might find out that you hit it 2-3 times and it starts to split. A big increase if you put a sharp edge on hardwood. So definitely blunt edges don't work in eucalypt timber. Australia has the hardest wood in the world, bull oak, and not far, which is about 16.7 on the Janka scale, and grey box is about 15.5 on the Janka scale. Some of the oaks and maples in other countries are only 4.5. So there's a big difference between 4.5 and 15. Our wood is extremely dense and compact, and if you look at this video, I haven't looked. Now, wasn't that a very interesting video? Did you see how many times he had to strike it? And he ended up turning the log over, and then he eventually split the log. Looking at that video, I'm 99% sure, and he had this axe here, this steel axe here. I'm sure that he didn't profile it. This has a 90-degree bevel on it of about 2.5 to 3 millimeter bevel, which is totally unsuitable for hardwood. And that's why that guy had a cardio workout trying to split that. Had that been sold to Australia with a sharp edge and a reduced beveled angle of no more than about 40 degrees, he would have got through that a lot quicker. So that is exactly my point, why you need to make sure that if you do buy a splitting axe or a splitting maul, that it doesn't have a blunt edge on it or a huge wide angle. That's 90 degrees, right? So 90 degrees, you don't want that. That's what this has got, 90 degrees. Totally unsuitable for hardwood. Yes, you'll split softwood. We don't have softwood here. We only got hardwood. Can't emphasize that fact enough. So if you live in Australia and you are going to go buy one of these, be prepared you need to get that edge refaced. If you can't do it yourself, maybe you can get someone to do it. If you can't get anyone to do it, then don't buy these. Go get yourself a Fiscus. They've got the right edge on them. Or there's a few other brands out there on the market that already come with a machined finish, and they've got the right angle for hardwood. Anyway, thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up. Bye for now.